Well, thank you all for coming tonight. Make sure this is on. You hear me? Okay. So let me introduce you to the individual. Still not happening.
But we can hear you.
No, it's a small venue, right?
Yeah. Your team is fine.
All right. Better? Oh yeah. We've done a number of events here, and I'm always used to the back wall is so close, you get this slap back thing that takes a little bit of getting used to. So anyway, so Alejandro and Estevan Gutiérrez, obviously brothers, hermanos, have been playing together for, Alejandro, how many years now?
I think it's 8 years now, 7. Yeah.
Okay. You are 8 years younger than Estevan.
Yes, sir.
Hence the title of your first record together, Ocho Años, 8 years. Did you learn from Estevan to play the guitar?
No, I don't think I learned the guitar, but he inspired me in picking up the guitar. He was the person that was playing at home in front of mom, like those old milongas, songs from Argentina, very melancholic. So he set the tone sometimes at home, like it was very sad. And sometimes our mom started crying because of the beauty of those songs. So he definitely inspired me. And then he left to Ecuador for a year. And I guess as a way of missing him, I just wanted to learn the guitar so he can come back, and I surprise him with that new thing that I have going on.
Were you surprised, Estevan?
Yeah, first of all, good evening, everybody. How are you doing? This is very special because usually I think my brother as well, we try to hide a bit behind the guitar. We like to let the guitar do the job, and so this is the first time we do something like this. So thank you for having us, and thanks for being here. So your question, I was very surprised because I remember that he told me, hey, I'm starting to learn the guitar, and I was like, okay, cute. But then when he played the first time in front of me, I was very surprised because I was like, wow, how came you up with that? Because he was like having really good skills, and yeah, we started to play a little bit and to jam, and it felt good.
Yeah. When you picked up the guitar for the first time, what were you playing?
I started in second grade. I was, I think, 9 years old, and my guitar teacher, the first song was a milonga, Argentinian folk music, the finger-picking style, and I should be so grateful that he showed me that kind of music because it really touched my heart from the beginning, and so I always play just this kind of music, like the melancholic songs.
And acoustic?
Yes, I started acoustic.
So when did you make the move to electric guitar, and what did that do to the kind of emotional feeling of the music?
It's funny because I think he inspired me. When he started to play the guitar, he bought an electric guitar, and I played for the first time on his amp, on his guitar, and then as an older brother, I also wanted to have an electric guitar. And so, then I think I bought my first electric guitar.
Yeah, and if you play some of those old milongas, by the way, Astor Piazzolla used to say that milonga gave birth to the tango. Yeah. So, it's like a really old form, very romantic and very emotional. If you play that on an electric guitar, does it change the feeling of
Yeah, it's like the OG is on an acoustic guitar because you have the nylon strings.
Yeah.
But you can play it also on an electric guitar, and it sounds also good.
So as the two of you began jamming together, you had to kind of discover the music that this duo wanted to be. What was that process like?
I think it discovered us because we didn't know that we wanted to be a band. And I moved to Zurich, and as a way of connecting, I think we were just like saying, let's just hang out and play the guitar. And then it happened, like we were playing a song, I had an idea that I came up with, and he was playing in his style with his finger picking a melody on top of it, and we felt like, oh, this is beautiful. And then my roommate came into the room and like, who is this? And well, that's us. And that was the moment we realized, oh, maybe we are a band. And so it was easy. We came up with this name, Hermanos Gutiérrez, because he's a big salsa fan. There's this huge salsa band of 5 brothers from the 70s, Hermanos Lebron. They actually, they came here from I don't know, Brooklyn, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was easy because our mom's name is Gutierrez. We're brothers, like Hermanos Gutierrez, you know.
Right.
So that was a really fast process. And sometimes it's funny, people think we have that name because of the guitars, Hermanos Guitarres, but it doesn't make any sense. So yeah, just wanted to make sure nobody here in this room thinks that we're making reference to the guitars.
Yeah. So it's interesting, though, that the two of you realized that the two of you were a band, that you didn't need to go now find a bass player and a drummer and a lead singer, that you know, the 2 guitars were enough. Was that like right off the bat, or did you try singers? Did you try any of that stuff?
I mean, we never talked about, hey, should we have a bass player or a singer? It was always clear that we wanted to do it, the 2 of us, because we're so connected, and it was clear that it was always going to be the 2 of us, just as foundation, yeah.
Right. Instrumental guitar music had a real moment in the 1950s with people like Link Wray, and in the 1960s with surf guitar, Dick Dale, and people like that. Were you aware of that kind of music? That you know, there was a tradition of instrumental guitar pop, for lack of a better word?
Yes, I think I was aware, but not knowing a lot of bands. I think a very special band that I like to reference is Santo and Johnny. And they have history as well here in Brooklyn. They're 2 brothers. They wrote this big song, Sleepwalk.
Right.
And they have the lap steel, they have the guitar. And that was a big reference. Like, there were bands that were just purely instrumental, but
that's, again, going back to the 60s, Santo and Johnny.
Yes, exactly.
So, you know, pop music has become so dominated by vocal music that you really had to kind of, Estevan, you had to kind of carve a space for yourself in the music world, it seems.
I think we just did what we were able to do, and what we feel what we could do, or we're doing what feels right, something like that.
Yeah. What about the sounds of Ennio Morricone, you know, the film scores for spaghetti westerns? Because I know I'm not the only person who heard some of your early material and thought, these guys have been watching, you know, Sergio Leone movies and listening to Ennio Morricone's soundtracks for those movies. Is that...
Yes, of course. I mean, I think it's obvious. We titled this last record El Bueno Y El Malo.
Yes.
So there's a reference to that. And of course, I'm a big movie lover, and I admire the connections that some directors have with the music composers and what they're able to tell. Because picture, visuals, and music, like putting it together, can be so powerful. And it's one of the best examples, like, of film history, how visuals and music works together. I mean, we all know those melodies, you know, and the picture of Clint Eastwood just moving his eyes, very subtle, you know, we just know that. Yeah. So yeah, it was a big inspiration for sure.
And, you know, it was a big inspiration even before El Bueno Y El Malo, but with that title, The Good and the Bad, you kind of made it pretty explicit that this was a form of guitar playing. What is it about Morricone's use of the guitar? Because, you know, there wasn't a lot of electric guitar in film music before he came along. What was it that kind of spoke to the 2 of you?
I think creating very powerful melodies with just little tones and, like catchy melodies. And it happened in my brother's basement when we were writing El Bueno Y El Malo, like the track. We were rehearsing, and by accident, I was playing it differently. So he reacted to that, and he played a single note, which was like instantly giving me that vibe of Ennio Morricone. So it was not about finding a concept for the next record. It just happened in the moment. And it was clear, like, we got to title it El Bueno Y El Malo. That's the vibe. And it's happened this as well with Sonido Cósmico. Like, we were in the basement, and he was trying out with the wah-wah pedal and just his finger picking, a combination of things that he does, his features. And it brought us instantly to the cosmos because it felt so open, so spacious. So we're happy that it happens in those moments, like where we somehow, connect with some sort of spirit out there, and we have this connection.
Yeah, I mean.
Can I add something on that?
No, you may not add it. Of course you can.
I got good material. So we wrote the title track Bueno Y El Malo one day before we flew out to Nashville to meet Dan Auerbach. So that was kind of cool because it was a day before we flew out. So we were a bit nervous, but with that song that came, I don't know, it was a gift. Just the day before flying out, we felt like, there it is, the whole idea, and Dan loved it from the beginning, and it was a cool experience.
How did that collaboration with Dan Auerbach come about? He's produced now 2 records with you guys.
Our management is based in Los Angeles, and our big boss knows Dan Auerbach's label, Easy Eye Sound boss. And so the legend says, she sent our first video that we did in Berlin, in a small backyard. She sent it to Tom, and he, like Dan and the music engineer of Easy Eye Sound, they have every Tuesday morning a meeting. So before they started the meeting, Tom said, hey, you should check out these brothers. They're from Switzerland. And we proved that check, and it's Dan approved. He said, like, yeah, that's true. He watched the video maybe 15 seconds. He closed the laptop, and he was like, we should have a call with the brothers.
All right.
That was cool. And then we had a call with Dan, I think a week later, and it was so cool. We felt like he's the right guy to work with.
Well, and he's also someone who, in his own music and in the other things that he has produced over the years, he has a real sense for the music of the past, for vintage sounds, for a kind of, I don't want to say nostalgia, but a kind of recreation of classic pop sounds of like the 1970s. So he clearly heard something in your music, Alejandro, that spoke to him and seemed to fit with everything else he does.
Yeah, seems like it. And it was funny that when we had this call, I don't think my brother was aware of who Dan Auerbach was. But I was. So I was nervous, but he wasn't.
So you're a Black Keys fan?
I mean, I've heard Lonely Boy, and I've never seen them live. Also, I was not familiar with his work as a producer, but I knew he has a Easy Eye Sound studio in Nashville, which sounds pretty cool. So it felt like a good fit. But it was funny because my brother was maybe not aware of who he was, and I was. We had this really cool dynamic in that call, so he was not hiding at all. Like, we are Hermanos Gutiérrez. He had a big introduction, and that was in the back, and it was just a perfect thing, he felt like, oh, those guys, they're not scared at all. And I think it was the right frequency for him to know, okay, let's do something with those guys.
Let me add some details.
I thought you might want to.
I think I told Dan that I didn't know who he was. I was aware of his name. I was aware of the Black Keys, but I didn't know any song. And I remember how my brother said, hey, I think tonight we have this important call. And I was like, yeah, but I want to go to soccer training. It's a true story. And he's like, no, you have to skip that training. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And so we built this...
I had to convince him to have to have this call with Dan Auerbach.
And it was just training? You didn't even miss a match?
No, the thing is, okay. In that team that I used to play, if you don't train, like if you don't you don't play on the Fridays. And so I was like, I can't be on the bench, okay? So I wanted to go. It was a Tuesday.
Yeah. Hey, you know, I coached a travel soccer team for 10 years.
Yeah, so you know.
I was the same. It's like, you don't train, you don't play.
So I wanted to play, but then my brother convinced me, and we were having this call, and I could feel that my brother was a bit nervous, I think.
Yeah.
And then we saw on the laptop the three guys. Dan was there, and Alan and Tom, and yeah, it was just interesting how they were talking. And then my brother said, "Yeah, I'm Alejandro," and then I said, "I'm Stefan." And we're los Hermanos Gutiérrez, and I saw that Dan was so happy, and yeah, how he said it was a cool moment, and we instantly connected with the guys.
Well, one of the things about, you know, having the sound of, for example, spaghetti westerns is it's a very short step to the sound of real kind of Western American, and especially Southwestern American music. And in the last two records especially, I can hear the kind of the wide open spaces and a kind of nocturnal, I mean, the moon figures in a couple of your titles. There is a kind of film noir character to a lot of this music. How did that develop?
I don't know how exactly, but I guess a lot of it has to do of Dan's studio and the resources and the people that he works with. Like, these are all Nashville music guys who are session musicians. He texts them and they come in and they add all those layers and textures. And his studio is just built in a way that it sounds vintage. It sounds mysterious. Like, if you ever are in that studio, like, it has such a vibe, and you feel instantly like we're about to create something magical here because you're in the best hands. So I think just working with the right people in the right studio made it possible to have that kind of feeling of what you just explained.
Right, but also it seems like the two of you already felt something kind of cosmic, kind of spacey / spiritual in the early music that the two of you were making together. And, you know, again, it doesn't seem like it's such a far step, Stefan, to get to that sound.
We love to travel together, so whenever we are playing or whenever we play, it feels a bit like we're sitting in a car and doing this cool road trip. And I think a big inspiration was, I think, 2008 or 19, when we went to the Death Valley in California, Nevada. And that was amazing, like to feel that desert feeling. I think that was a big inspiration. And then I think a year later, we traveled to Santa Fe, New Mexico, which was also like a big step in our career.
Right.
And so, yeah, we like to travel.
So, you know, you're both based in Switzerland, and I know, especially in Central Europe, historically, people have looked at the American West and thought, oh my God, there's so much room, there's so much space, there's so much sky. Were you like that as kids? Did you watch movies of old American Westerns and think, someday I'm going to go there?
Yes, there's a specific movie which inspired me exactly from that perspective of a European seeing the US in that special way, and it was Paris, Texas from Wim Wenders.
Yes.
And the way he filmed that movie and the story was really inspiring. And I'm actually inspired. It inspired me for Until We Meet Again, the song that we have on Sonido Cósmico. And it's mostly about things that we are doing together. We're on the road. Sometimes we feel lost. We're reconnecting, and it's a family thing here. You know, like this movie really represents a lot of what we're doing.
And let's not forget that that's a movie that has a guitar-oriented score, the great Ry Cooder. And, you know, talk about creating a sense of place and space. He does that really well in Paris, Texas. And you guys have become really adept at creating a sense of space that isn't necessarily specific. You know, you can't say, oh, that's New Mexico or that's Death Valley. I mean, the title, Sonido Cósmico, sort of suggests that it's more about, it's something bigger, something on a grander scale. And I'm just wondering if that is something intuitive or whether it's intentional, or maybe a little of both.
I think the whole feeling came to us. We weren't looking for it. I mean, we were hoping that it would come, but then when we were writing after the Bueno Y Malo, Sonido Cósmico, we didn't want to repeat the spaghetti western desert feeling, so we were trying out maybe a week, two, like to find a new feeling, and it didn't happen. And then, as he already said, I think it was one morning where we were checking out some ideas, and then it felt like that we were taking that spirit from the Hermanos, from the desert, and we were lifting it up. And that moment was incredible because we both felt, oh, there's the feeling, there's the idea, and it's a new sound and a cosmic sound, and so it sounds cooler in Spanish, so Sonido Cósmico.
But it's also, you know, that feeling of the universe giving you something. What do you give back? You try and evoke that feeling through music. And to do that through instrumental music might actually be easier than if you were songwriters and you had to figure out a way to convey this using lyrics. And if you did write lyrics, I don't even know, what language would you write them in? I mean, you speak two languages at home, right?
Yeah, we always talk Spanish to our mom. We talk Swiss German and Spanish with each other.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, you're right. Two languages.
But you've never actually had to face that question. Hey, what language do we use for this?
Of writing lyrics?
Yeah.
No, I think that's also, we were working within our capacities. Like, we don't think we're good singers, so why even try? So that's very honest. But I think what you're saying with Sonido Cósmico, and I think most of the record really represents all this relationship that we have with Dan Auerbach, because we trust way more in that. And I don't know, it's like in any relationship, if you get to know this person, you're like maybe more brave to try out new things. So we were intentional about being more diverse, more spacious on this record, because we felt the confidence and the trust. Like, we know how he works, he knows how we're working, so it was easier. It was easier to try out, to be brave, and to find our boundaries where we want to go.
So let me ask you about a couple of the pieces that you're actually going to play for us tonight. One is Cumbia Lunar. Now, cumbia is, you know, it's from Colombia originally, but it's now like a global phenomenon, and it has a very earthy sound, but the title suggests that it's not such an earthbound piece of music.
Yes, the background of this song is, I am a big fan of the Peruvian cumbia. You see, like Colombia, like there's multiple cumbia styles, and I started collecting songs, little 45 LPs from the 60s, 70s, and they have this very specific song from the Amazon, like people going to Lima, recording, but you hear they're from the selva.
Right.
Like they have these very catchy melodies.
So you had cumbia and also chicha, this
Yes.
very kind of psychedelic,
Exactly.
early 70s electric guitar playing essentially Amazonian Peruvian folk music.
Exactly. So that was a big inspiration, especially because I kind of wanted to recreate what I heard on those records on this song. Like, I loved the song, the intonation of those records. And that's something that we also share with Dan Auerbach. We like seeking to find songs that we love. And I don't know, take a little bit of that and integrated, so it's part of it. And yeah, Cumbia Lunar as well. The connection to the moon, like there's always an element of nature in our music. We're really connected to nature because it has an impact on us as human beings, and we want to honor nature at all times.
Are you familiar with Los Wemblers?
Oh yes, of course.
Another great sort of guitar-centric form of Latin pop music. I think some of those guys are still alive.
Los Wemblers or Los Mirlos?
No, I think Los Wemblers. I think some of them might still be around.
I don't know.
50 years ago. Anyway, but, so it seems like, you've done a lot of kind of musical detective work, looking at in different corners of the musical world for inspiration. What about you, Esteban? Do you do a lot of that as well, or do you wait for Alejandro to bring you these ideas?
No, I also put my thing into this band. No, I love salsa, so my background is just 99% salsa and a bit of hip hop. But yeah, I love the same years, like from the 50s, 60s until the late 70s. That's like my favorite salsa period.
Right. The salsadora.
Yeah.
And a lot of that stuff is from here.
Yeah, New York was like a big thing in the 70s. And I especially love the salsa from Puerto Rico and Venezuela y Colombia. That's like the heavy stuff that I love. So I was thinking about Cumbia Lunar, the song. It's true, like the melody and like the sound of it, of the main melody, is cumbia, but I'm influenced by the salsa, also the salsa beat. So what I play on that is a bit more like a salsa pattern, it is a clave inside on that song, and so it's a mix of cumbia, salsa, and the two of us. It's kind of interesting.
And what's also interesting is that when you take some of those traditional Latin American rhythms and you slow them down a little bit, and maybe probably Dan added some reverb to everything when you were producing.
No, we added reverb.
Yeah.
that was us.
It's just very interesting what that does to the feel of that music. That it becomes different. You might actually be surprised when someone points out, that's a salsa rhythm, and you're thinking, wow, this is really kind of spacey and trippy, and that's something that you could potentially discover by accident in the studio, but it sounds like it wasn't an accident. Sounds like this is something you were really looking for.
Yes, I think whenever we go to the studio, we have a clear picture of what we want to tell with this record. And there's always space for what happens in the studio. Like we always try to come as prepared as possible and have a vision for each song. I think that's important. So having structure makes you be loose about whatever else can happen in the studio. That's my approach.
All right, you mentioned Sonido Cósmico before, and also Until We Meet Again. There's another song you're going to do for us called Low Sun. What's happening there, Esteban?
We love the combination when I play the lead guitar, like with the bass and everything, and my pattern, and when he plays the slide guitar. And so usually we just jam and we try it out, but on this one we were like saying, you're gonna play this, I'm gonna play this, and then I think we wrote that song so fast because it just felt so good, and like I think we wrote that in 30 minutes, and it just felt super good. And then we also recorded a live version of that in April in New Mexico, and it's called Ghost Ranch, and we were in the middle of the rocks with the 2 amps, and we had like 5 mics. And it was crazy because on one moment it was so hot, and you could feel like, oh, we're gonna sweat. And then the next moment, it almost was snowing, and it was so crazy. Like nature was really saying hi to us.
So the sun was low in the sky, and once it goes down, you're out in the desert, temperature plummets. Yeah. I've been very good about not getting too deep into the technical weeds here, but as a guitarist myself, I have to ask, so what are you guys playing? What is that there, Alejandro?
This one?
Yeah.
So that's a slide guitar. It's called lap steel. And this specific instrument was built in the 40s from a guy, German guy, I think. He migrated to the States. And yeah, it's the most powerful lap steel that I've played. I've tried other lap steels, but none of these has a hollow body. So this is chrome metal.
Right.
And I don't know, someone took out everything which was inside, and it's hollow, so it has that natural reverb to it. And
It also has a tendency then to feed back if you're not careful.
no, I don't know. It's a magical. It does never happen.
Okay.
This is like pure. Like it's amazing. And here I play a harmony from the '60s, Royce Smack. I just love those guitars. They were really cheap back in the days, and they're still not very expensive, but hard to find in a good shape. So that's my baby.
And for you, Esteban?
I play a 1960s Chet Atkins, a Gretsch.
Nice.
And I just bought this one. It's a new one that I just bought. I saw it, and it's in mint conditions, and it's so hard to find these guitars, because usually they're like, you don't know how many owners there.
Right.
But I saw this one, and it was this guy bought it in the 1960s. He paid, I think, $300. And then on reverb, you can see like he playing in the 70s with that guitar, and then an actual picture how I think today he's 80 years old. Mm-hmm. And I just love that fact that it was his guitar and he's selling it now. It has so much history, so I had to buy it, and I love this guitar.
All right. So you were talking about how with Low Sun, it came together very quickly, you know, the lap steel and the guitar. Have you ever swapped instruments and just to see what would happen?
No, but we tried it out when was it? Maybe a week ago. We tried to play the other brother's part. It was on El Bueno Y El Malo, so he was playing my melody, and I was playing. It sounded horrible. It's not even to mention almost. Like it felt like we were beginners. It was so embarrassing.
And I remember that during COVID, my brother stayed, I think, a month in England, and he left his guitar in our band room. And then I worked with the loop station, and I was trying out some stuff, and then I saw the lap steel there, and I was like, it can't be that difficult, you know? And
Famous last words.
I tried it out, and I think I tried it maybe 20 seconds because it sounded so horrible, and since then, he's the guy who plays the lap steel.
So you each have, I mean, you may be brothers, you may be bandmates, but you have distinctive musical personas that you just can't swap them.
Apparently not. Yes, I do think we have different styles, different approaches, and maybe you're gonna hear it. We have different patterns. It's like a different rhythm. You can hear his inspiration of coming from traditional classic finger picking, and I don't know what my approach is. It's more with the thumb. I have no idea, but I do feel there's a difference.
Well, Stefan, you had talked about nylon strings. You had classical guitar training.
Yes.
Whereas you, Alejandro, it sounds like while your brother was away, you just like basically taught yourself.
Yes, it was the time of YouTube. I was watching tutorials.
Time of YouTube. Okay.
I was watching those videos where someone took his time to tell everyone how to play this certain song, and I was one of the guys watching, like, okay, trying to learn those chords. That was my way of learning it.
Yeah. When I was a kid, public television had a TV show where you could take your guitar and watch the lady on TV, and I was like, it's not sounding right. And my fingers are exactly where hers are. And that's when I realized, oh, my fingers are exactly where hers. You're both right-handed, though, so not a problem, right? All right. We wanted to save some time for the actual magic of making music on stage here. So
Honestly, I'm starting to like this a lot.
Me too.
yeah, this is
We
this is
can
great.
also
But
just talk and I'll play.
Alejandro, I'm going to ask you to stand up and show people the back of your jacket.
Back. All right.
Are you a Howlin' Wolf fan?
I don't even know what it means. I just bought this jacket. I bought this jacket from a Japanese guy, and he takes pieces from the 50s and makes them again. So you tell me, what am I wearing here?
You have to check out Howlin' Wolf.
Is it a good thing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Vintage American blues, like gut bucket stuff. Yeah. All right. I'm going to vacate the stage and leave it to Hermanos Gutiérrez, who are going to perform for us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you
guys.
so much.